Some reviews are tougher to write than others. Usually they're the weaker end of the NES spectrum, where there's so little actual content to the game that I have to resort to flowery language just to fill 4 minutes' time. And then there are the games that are so unspeakably massive that I know anything I say, even if I did the whole fast talking thing, would merely scratch the surface. As far as MMOs go, Final Fantasy XI is certainly an odd bird. Perhaps due to the international success of the Final Fantasy brand, Square Enix decided at the outset to integrate their servers racially speaking. You could be fighting alongside a Japanese paladin, a French black mage, and a Canadian corsair all in the same party and working toward the same ends. More EXP, more gil, more things to obtain. Some concepts are universally understood. For everything else, there's an auto-translate system that replaces simple phrases, place names, and items with text objects that resolve dependent on the client seeing it. It's not exactly the United Nations, but it's been working fairly well since... Really? It's been that long? October of 03. Over 8 years now in the States and closer to 10 in Japan. And you don't have a game running for 8 years without change. Time used to be that unless you were a black mage or a ranger, you didn't get invited to EXP parties, and you didn't get EXP outside of parties because the mobs you'd have to kill were unspeakably vicious to a lone player. That was then. These days there are so many bonuses, buffs, and new features that you can play the game more myopically if you wish, but what's the fun in that? It seems these achievements are no longer considered the hardest in the whole of Xboxdom. Wait, the 360 didn't even exist in 03. But the PC did, and those players were playing right alongside the already released Japanese PS2 version, the flagship software for the short-lived PS2 hard drive. The good news is that the world finally had its first truly cross-platform MMORPG. The bad news is that even today, the Xbox 360 and PC versions are hamstrung by continuing to support the PS2. See, it's been how many minutes and I've only barely touched on the game itself as opposed to why the game works the way it does. There is actual gameplay. It doesn't just play itself. Well, kinda. You don't attack your foes directly, rather you lock onto them with an attack command, and from that point out, your basic weapon swings are rigorously timed by the delay value of your weapon and augmented by the various factors on your other 15 pieces of gear. And then there's an update, and new powers, and a new shiny object, and the great wheels of progress and power creep spin up again. Because fashion is smashing, the true meaning of it. I could easily do a 5-minute analysis of each of the game's 20 jobs, and even that would be barely enough to do some of the more eclectic classes justice. The quick and dirty version follows. Warrior, Monk, Thief, and Red, Black, and White Mage are available from the outset, and if that list sounds familiar, you've probably played Final Fantasy I. Everything else requires completing a quest to unlock. Paladins tank things and cure themselves. Ninja were supposed to be a ranged attack and debuff class until it was found that they tank better than Paladins. Rangers shoot things with bows, Beastmasters and Summoners subcontract their beatdowns. Dragoons enlist the services of a baby dragon as a damage sidecar. Bards buff the party by singing. Corsairs buff the party by playing blackjack. Dark Knights and Samurai hit things really hard. Puppet Masters get to build their teammate from scratch, with the help of a whole bunch of money. Dancers inflict all sorts of weird debuffs in melee range. Scholars are schizophrenic mages able to choose the light side or the dark side as the situation calls, and... let's just say that Final Fantasy V, their point of origin, afforded Blue Mages 30 spells. 11's Blue Mages are up to 150-ish, somewhere around there. Honestly, I lost count. I blame the bagpipes. And catgirls. Final Fantasy XI is the true black sheep sequestered in its place as the MMO nobody played, except for the thousands who did, and unable to gather the attention of its woefully defective little brother 14. And then Shantoto shows up in Dissidia and people are interested again. Funny how that works.